Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Mandy, the Handmade Homeschooler, and today we're going to take a look at the approach that I'm going to use while teaching the classics. I've had so many comments, questions, inquiries about teaching the classics. I think this is probably a pretty new to all of us thing, even though I think it's been around for quite a few years. But I am so glad to kind of shed some light on this and bring it to you. And I want to take a look at kind of the general strategy as a first year user that I'm going to be using while teaching the classics. That was a mouthful. Okay, so before I get into that, make sure that you check the links down below. I will have Teaching the Classics linked down below, and I will also link the book list that I have on my Amazon shop, and these are all of the classic books that we use, that we purchase, and a lot of them that I have already in my library, and some I plan on buying and using in the future. So I just kind of have a running list of classics if you want to add those to your library. Also down below in the description box, I have a link to our free Facebook group where you can come in and ask questions, and I'm there quite often throughout the day, so if you have additional questions, I can answer them for you there. So very briefly, if you have not seen my other video where I unboxed Teaching the Classics and I did a really big overview of the program, and I will link that somewhere up here. There will be a little card you can click, or I will link it down below as well. What if I call this like coffee and curriculum? What do you guys think? Did someone already take that? I don't know, but just a thought. Teaching the Classics is taught by Adam and Missy Andrews, and this is sold through IEW and also through their main website here. So Teaching the Classics is, again, an instructional course for teachers. And what this actually does, when you break it down to its most fundamental thing, tells you how to take any book, whether it's a picture book, whether it's a larger book, or whether it is a monster. And it shows you how to take this and turn this into a curriculum. That is the basis around Teaching the Classics. You're going to learn how to teach books as a literature unit. Now, and I want to make sure that I say this just so everybody understands going into this, this does not teach your children how to read. You are still going to need a phonics program. If you have young children who don't read yet, you still have to teach them how to read. This is not for teaching how to read. So now let's take a look at the strategy that I'm going to be using for teaching the classics. Now, when you go through the DVDs, you're going to be learning several different steps and different learning concepts. And what I plan to do is basically teach it the exact same way that I was taught through Adam Andrews on the DVD. So what I'm going to do is, don't laugh at me, this is so basic, okay? I have a couple of copies of this. I have 3. I have one for me and one for each of my kids, because I knew this is how I wanted to do this. So what I did was I got several copies. So I have 3, one for each of us. And for the first month or so, until we get down all of the principles and concepts, and I want to say there's 7 of them. So for the first chunk of time, we're going to be going over those literary concepts one at a time. We can't move on in the program and go to books like this until we learn the concepts, because none of it will make sense to them if they don't understand plot and characters and things like that. The premise behind this is I'm going to teach them the same way that I was taught. So one DVD focuses on one main concept. So I'm going to probably go back over the DVDs as prep work for me as a teacher. And then we are going to actually read the same passages that Adam Andrews lays out. And then because he's laid it out so well in the notes and everything, I think that this is going to be a great tool to basically teach it the way that he taught me to my kids. So basically, I could honestly just put on the DVD and let the kids watch it and work through it with Adam Andrews if I really wanted to. But I'll probably do it with them just to make sure that they're understanding the concepts. So that's going to be the first chunk. We're just going to go through the book the same way that the instructor does. and we're going to learn all of those concepts. And once I know and once I feel like they are ready to move on, then we're going to move on. And I have several tools for this. So first, IEW has several different resources that are really, really helpful, and I got them because I wanted to show you guys. So first, for all children, is Timeline of the Classics. Timeline of the Classics is a timeline from creation to modern time of all the classic books. Look how thick this is, you guys. I love this book, especially because I have a child, my going to be sixth grader, who loves classics. He collects them, which is why I have such a large stack here on my wall, in my bedroom, on every bookshelf, and every nook and cranny. We have some classic books stuffed somewhere. For Christmas this last year, 90% of that child's Christmas list was classic books. Not even kidding. So this is a really helpful tool for us. Now it puts the classics on a timeline, just like it says, and you're going to have page after page of classic books, and it's going to even give you, it gives you the description or time period, the title of the book, the author of the book, and level. So you're going to have middle, high school, and elementary listed here, and some of the books overlap. So some of the ones for elementary can also be used for middle, some of the middle can be used for high school, and so on and so on. So this is just a really invaluable resource. I will link this down below as well in the description box so you guys can go check this out. And what I plan to do is with my kids' history curriculum, what I want to do, because this is a historical timeline, I thought we might be able to overlap history and literature by pulling some of the works of literature from the time period that they're studying in history. So I thought that that would be a really cool way to kind of do that. So the next resource I have is only for my high schooler, and it is Windows to the World. And this is a resource that I'm going to try to pair with Teaching the Classics. I think that this is a really good resource to use. It goes over classic stories. It has a lot of short stories in here, and that's what Adam Andrews really stresses, to start with the short stories. So the beginning of the year, since we're going to be using the books that he already recommended, Adam Andrews in the instructional DVDs goes over short stories. Most of them are young children's stories, so like Ricky Tikki Tavi is in there. This is kind of the same thing, but the short stories are more on high school level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the teacher's manual and the student book, and we're going to go over the short stories in here. They have some of the stories that I absolutely love in here, like The Gift of the Magi is in here, and The Most Dangerous Game. I love that story. I love that book, and we're going to use that to work one-on-one together. My plan is to use this as a table subject, but I do want to do some individual work too. So sometimes we may be learning together, and sometimes we may be doing something separate that is more on their individual level. Now, I know I mentioned I have a 10th grader and a 6th grader. How can I do a table subject? My 6th grader is on a very high reading level. He reads adult books. So his comprehension skills are pretty on par with my 10th grader. So I feel pretty confident that with a few adjustments, we can table this subject and we can read the same book. Now also, here's the other thing. Teaching the Classics is also meant to be a table subject no matter the age of your children. So yes, you can teach all of your kids the same book, the same story, but give them different questions, because you're going to be teaching through the Socratic Method, which is by asking questions. So you will just adjust the questions that you give your older children versus your younger children. So this is really meant to use from elementary all the way through. So you don't have to worry about buying different levels. You don't have to worry about buying different stories or books. So now this is the only thing that's really on grade level here, is because this is for high school. But I do feel pretty confident that my 6th grader could probably handle that, but I'm not going to push it because he's still in 6th grade and I don't want him being rushed to grow up, but I do want him to be challenged. So we do have some classics here that I also intend on reading. So if you're in my group, then you saw that I actually got to talk with Andrew Pudawa of IEW. IEW is a company that sells Teaching the Classics, and I asked him what his favorite book was and mentioned that we are doing Teaching the Classics in this upcoming year, and he recommended Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. So that's the one that I plan to do through November and December, depending on how long it takes us to read it. I've got to really plan it out. So of course I immediately went over to thrift books because I have a love of used books. Don't ask me, I love used books, and it makes my heart happy. So this is my big Charles Dickens score from thrift books. I think I got this for like $5. And it has 4 different stories in it. So it's got Oliver Twist, A Tale of Two Cities, Great Expectations, and A Christmas Carol in it. I plan on probably getting another copy of A Christmas Carol, so both of my kids have their own copy and we can both read it, or we can all 3 read it together. But what I plan on doing is reading the book first, so I'm more confident teaching it. And that's what I recommend everyone to do. If you're going to do Teaching the Classics, I highly recommend read it first. I'll be taking this summer to read some of these books by Charles Dickens. I'm going to read some of the books in the timeline of classics. I'm going to probably also read Tom Sawyer because I haven't read that one. And my youngest, my 6th grader, actually recommended and asked for Teaching the Classics if we could do Tom Sawyer. So I'm going to read this copy here. And then these are, my 10th grader actually asked for Sherlock Holmes, and my youngest also really loves Robin Hood, so we might do Robin Hood as well. Yes, the stories are familiar, but they're not going to be familiar in the way that I'm going to be teaching it, in the way that they're going to be learning it. So having a familiar story is not a bad thing. Even if they've already read the book, I think it's totally okay, and it might actually be better going into something new like this. So we'll see how far we get. I am not trying to push or rush through Teaching the Classics. I really want to take our time. I want to enjoy this. Even if we only finished 1 book after we learn all the concepts, I would be happy. That is totally fine with me. So also on that last DVD, because I've had so many questions about teaching different grade levels and things like that, they will go over how to do that. Adam Andrews goes over all of that. So he will tell you and teach you how to put this in action with a plan that will make sense for your family. He even says you can read 1 book throughout the entire year and that's fine. But you will have to pre-read the books. Like, make sure that you pre-read it, or at least, at the very least, go on Cliff Notes and get the Cliff Notes because it's going to be hard to teach material that you don't know yourself. Sorry guys, the lighting is just crazy today. Like there's clouds out and the sun, it's summertime, it's brutal. Okay, so that is my plan for now. Of course, plans can change and oftentimes they do, but this is what I'm planning on doing now. I'm very excited about this curriculum. I think it's going to be a great tool for us to use throughout my kids' entire education. And I think teaching them these things now is going to help them all the way through college. And I think it's going to help them understand the Bible. I think it's going to help them understand any book that they pick up for the rest of their lives. So this is not just training for school and education. This is like life training is what I kind of equate it to. And I think that this is going to be such a cool tool to use and to have in our tool belt that they wouldn't really get in public school. You know what I mean? I think that this is going to really set them ahead. So I think this is going to be good. This is going to be good. I'm very happy with everything. I am preparing now during the summer instead of reading a lot of the things that I normally would read. I am reading classics because I did not grow up reading classics. I could tell you all the classic books I have ever read on one hand before this year. So we'll see how it goes. I'm learning right along with everybody else. So make sure that if you have questions, leave them down below. I will try to answer anything that I am confident with the answer of. Also, again, all of the links for everything is going to be down below in the description box, and hopefully that will help you guys out. We've had a lot of questions about this, and I'm trying to get everything answered and get you guys to the right place. If I can't answer it, I will direct you to IEW's customer service, and I had a tour of the IEW center. Their customer service is not like you would think. They are trained people to help you. So let's say you're unsure of what level of fix-it grammar or structure and style your child should go in. And there's a lot of questions on the levels of structure and style. I totally recommend asking their customer service. They are trained to help you in that. They will guide you and help you figure out where you should start. It's not like a normal store customer service. These people are so lovely and so nice. I got to meet them, and they are just a really great crew. So utilize them, email them, call them. They are so sweet, and they will help all of you guys figure out where to go. I mean, Structure and Style is hands down the best writing program we've ever used, and you guys can try that for free if you want. It's also, I partnered with IEW to give you guys those free resources, so those are also down below in my description box. All right, guys, that is all I have for this one. So let me know, what do you guys think? Do you guys want to try this one? Because I think out of everything, this might be the one thing I'm more excited about than anything else this year. Can you tell I am a book nerd? I will see you guys in the next video. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day, and happy homeschooling.